Welcome once again to yet another episode of The Rolling Lens. This is the second part of a three-part series where we are talking about how we shot an ad for Berry Whole Foods. So today we are going to be talking about the actual production. The first episode was concerning the pre-production. If you haven't watched it, you can go back and watch it. On the production date, we had several constraints, and that is what we will be talking about. Let's see whether it will help us to understand how production works out on the shoot day.
Yeah. So I'll just give a brief overview of the sort of constraints that you have to work with on a production day. Production always goes hand in hand with time. So you're always working against time. A constraint that you have to work within is the script. So it's a production. So script is the story written down, or so you have your short lists, etc., etc. You can just say you stick to the script. A third constraint that you have is the people. So whether that's the talent, whether that's the people behind the camera, whoever's directing. So people is another constraint. The fourth constraint is the location. You have, if this production needs to happen within this space, then where you put your camera and etc. That's a major constraint. There's another one, but I can't seem to remember what it is.
I suffer from short-term memory loss.
Yeah, the other constraint, the fifth one I'd forgotten, is equipment.
The equipment you have, the equipment of the day.
Someone would ask, why is the script a constraint?
On the shoot day, you have the story. So the story itself is the constraint, meaning you're not winging it. Of course, there are things in this day and age of social media, people might just wing it and all that. But still, the most clever people will have an idea of what they want to do. So a script guides you. So it's a good constraint in terms of guides you on this is where, this is what the story should have. These are the shots that you should have to tell a story, a cohesive.
And you've already prepared that beforehand.
You've prepared that in the pre-production. So it is a good constraint in terms of now, this is what we are coming to do.
You can focus on.
You have a focus. So it is a good constraint. It's not a bad constraint. It can be in terms of where you are
if
so
the story
beholden
doesn't
to
work.
it. On the day, maybe some things are happening and now you're thinking, we don't have this. So
let's say you because this happens sometimes where in your script it's supposed to be a bright sunny day, and then for some reason you've gotten all the gear, you've gone out, and then clouds appear. It's good to have structure, but don't be too tight on we hired this lens, so we must use it, or we have this particular light, we have to use it. We have this location, we have to shoot
every corner
of this location. So that allows you to adapt the story, to adapt whatever equipment you have, to adapt even the location to suit the story, or vice versa, as long as it serves the general story.
So let's move on to the next thing. So there's the constraint of the script as we've seen, which is a good thing. But now, again, you're on the shoot day. You have time as another constraint, time. So what did we learn even in this shoot? What can we talk about how time is a constraint, but how to use it well?
So time was a constraint because, as we said, the location and that particular place, it was a family home. So we couldn't go until, I don't know, midnight so that we finished the shoot. Another constraint of time is, for this ad, there's a lot of natural light coming in. Yes, we had other lights to help, but we had a lot of natural light coming in from the windows behind. So obviously you can't go into the night with the shot. And also as it goes towards, depending on where the sun is, it changes how the lighting looks like. So it being a family home, I think there were actually part of the family was in the house during the production, so you don't want to overstay your welcome. So we had a fixed amount of time that we needed to work with, although we extended a little bit beyond.
The hosts were gracious.
Yeah, they were gracious enough to allow us to stay a bit longer, but that was a major constraint for us. Now that was also affected by the other constraints that we had. Some of these things, as you said in the previous video, we wanted it to be a simple shoot. We wanted to use
The
equipment that we have without having to hire, which meant we didn't have cameras ready, many cameras ready, and many lenses ready to go. And so by the constraint of the budget, which meant there's a constraint on the people that we have to, just manpower and also equipment, because we're only working with the equipment we have, it meant setup took longer, because once we finish one scene and you're going to the next one, then you have to change the lighting, you have to get the setup right. Whereas in a bigger production, perhaps you'd have a grip, you'd have a line manager, you'd have a DOP, you'd have someone on the boom mic, you'd have all these different people making sure that as soon as that scene is cut and finished, moving to the next one, there's people ready to set it up. So that affected our time. Those are the constraints of the equipment and also the people that we had. And so
and I think we can just say the time also, it was a constraint, and we understood that we had a very short time. So you don't have all the time, as you said, to do all these things. Meaning before you get to the shoot, we don't have so much time.
Yeah.
So we don't.
Even when
we
a
can't
crazy
have,
idea comes in, you're like, we don't have time.
We don't have time for that. Also on the equipment, we didn't want also to be too bulky. You become too bulky, then it means moving things around.
It's quite
so
difficult.
Having one light that you need to move around, or two lights, it's easy. It was more like a run and gun kind of shoot on that day, but it's because we had this limited time to shoot. If we had the whole 2 days or something,
yeah,
then we will have even a budget as big.
Yeah, but don't you think if we had spread it out, maybe we would not have? Because I feel part of us trying to get it done within the time actually enabled us to. We have to get it right. But when you have 2 days, you get it wrong, you're like, another take.
Which is something again that is not good. All these takes take away time that could have been.
Take away time.
Yeah, they take away time that could have been used for something else. So the constraint of time for us was, I think, a good thing.
Yeah.
And also just showcasing that we can work even at that level where you have very minimal time. We can still do something and come up with something that is good.
So even on the equipment, there are some things that we solved. There's some problems that we solved. Things like cracking focus. There's some shots that we needed to figure out exactly how we will do it, and we got some other cool ideas on the day. There's a shot that we used an iPhone.
So now you're talking about the constraint of equipment.
Yes. When you have such constraints, they force you. You're like, okay, we're not sending for another lens to come from town. By the time it gets here, it's going to be a whole hour, because that particular shot, the space is small, and you need to capture a wide. The shot is supposed to be wide.
Yeah.
Now we had planned for it, but where the camera was supposed to be was on the other side of the room, which would have given us more space. We were even to pan the camera. But then when we got to the location of the shoot day itself and some things changed, we realized we have to work with what we have. So we used the iPhone because it has a wide camera, it has a wide lens. Yeah, so we said, if we can't get a wide lens for the professional cameras, then just use an iPhone. Yeah. So all these constraints.
We had the equipment also constrained us in terms of, we had a Blackmagic camera.
Yeah.
On the shoot day, Blackmagic 4K. So it has its own constraints in how it works. It's a camera that can be bulky in terms of
Space.
In terms of power, the power output, for what it requires and all that. So you need to know, this is the equipment I'm working with. We have other equipment, but that's the choice that we took on that day. Use the Blackmagic. And because of the cinematic feel that we had wanted, and for the grading and all, because you also have to think about the post-production. You know, it's not just thinking of the shoot there. You have to think, okay, how will this translate on the post-production? Yes. You can control the light that is coming into the... And we used an ND filter, which wasn't meant for the phone. It was meant for but it was meant for the camera.
But now the problem is we don't have ND filters for our phone. So one of us will have to hold them in front of the lens. And as you can see, it changes the light that is getting into the lens.
The other constraint is people. And the people we had, so we had one actress, which was good, one person. So meaning you have to focus, keeping it simple. It's one person that you have to deal with. Remember, we have this budget that is lean, and the time that we had was lean. Having many people to direct and coordinate was hard. That also informed our pre-production. When we were doing the pre-production, one person works out well for the project.
In the pre-production, one of the ideas we had is to shoot a whole family, maybe enjoying the peanut butter
at the end of. But you see, you need to know your limits and what is required. Having more people means more time required, meaning the budget has to be bigger.
You have more things to adjust.
So the constraint of people is good. And also just knowing that we were a lean team, everybody knew what they were supposed to do. And I think it was easy even for you to direct and say, I don't think this is okay, move this around, let's do this. It was just easy. We know nobody there everybody is important. So everybody had to work to move to the next stage and all that, which was helpful. I think, though, of course, it's always better when you have a bigger team. But we worked with a small team. And if you've watched it, you can comment and tell us whether you can see that it was such a small team just by watching the video.
Yeah, so just like pre-production and even in production, you're saying it's good to plan ahead. You have everything ready in stock, but we are also saying, secondly, don't be too rigid. Even though our script said certain things, the things which we changed on the day because we felt it serves the story better. And when we talk about what happened in post-production, we also found there's things that we really followed. We had enough footage. We didn't lack any footage in post, but we still had to allow ourselves to let go of some things that were not working for the story, even in post. And so that's an important thing. But the last thing that we're also saying is you can't tell amazing stories even when you are being simple. So the shoot for us was a simple shoot. We just used the living room and part of the dining. But simple doesn't mean easy. It was simple for us because we know what we are doing. We know what we're doing. So, but that's what we're saying is that if you plan ahead and you know what you're doing, even though something is simple, it's better to do something simple well than to do something extraordinary in a substandard way. Yeah, we'd rather do something simple and do it well. All right, so that's how we handled that production. That was largely the things that we had to overcome on the day. It was an interesting shoot. We really loved the outcome, and as you know, you've probably seen the ad already. We'll put a link to it. But also, if you've not seen the ad, also watch the previous video. We talk about the pre-production, and also we'll be releasing another video where we now actually talk about the post-production, which is where the editing and other things are added together to make it complete. If you find this video useful, share it with someone who would benefit from it, and also just comment what your experience is or what you learned from the video. So until then,
see you.
Let the lens roll.